Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Epic Events Podcast. Today, I'm honored to welcome someone who has been at the forefront of experiential marketing for nearly 2 decades, Katherine Tooley, VP of Global Events and Experiential Marketing at HubSpot. I attend a lot of events. I attend a lot of conferences. That's the business I am in. But if I have to say, even my best event I attended in 2024, that was an inbound conference. That was my first time attending a HubSpot inbound conference, and it was absolutely amazing. And I'm super excited to ask a lot of questions to Kat about that. But at HubSpot, Katherine now oversees the global portfolio of events, including Inbound, one of the most recognized conferences in the industry, which in 2024 drew over 12,500 in-person attendees and earned international acclaim for its creativity and impact. Her leadership has not only elevated HubSpot's event presence, but also earned her a long list of accolades from BizBash 500 to top women in B2B marketing to 40 under 40 in events. I'm so honored to have you in the podcast today. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to talking.
So Kat, as I said, I attend a lot of events, and when I was there at HubSpot Inbound, it's a huge conference, 12,500. Yet it felt something that was not exhausting or something that was not overwhelming. I attend a lot of others, SaaStr, etc., and they're all amazing. I know the kind of effort it takes in running an event like that, but never ever I felt something that was just very easy to attend. Also, tell me what goes behind running a conference like HubSpot Inbound, because when I run even my daughter's birthday party, is a lot of pressure. So just tell me the kind of pressure, the kind of preparation goes into running something like Inbound.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I would say, a 18-month timeline to really start planning another Inbound. So, I mean, as we're even speaking, Inbound 2025 is happening in September, but we're already planning 2026 behind the scenes. So it is definitely a very long labor of love to, finally produce one of these events, just because of the sheer kind of magnitude and the effort and the coordination that it takes to have 13,000 people gather on site and for it to feel seamless and well built and well constructed. I personally think the reason why Inbound doesn't feel overwhelming is because the overall event experience and production, as well as the programming, is built in a way that it's really easy for our attendee to find value and know what they want out of the event. We do a really great job, programming kind of the overall content curation to make sure that there's something for everyone there. While we certainly have a focus on, more enterprise or upmarket decision makers, we also recognize that people are not monoliths, right? And that even if they're going to invest a week of time with us, that they also want to experience great food and beverage, learn about wellness. Maybe they have an interest in improving their managerial skills. Maybe they want to hear from really great people, operations leaders, about turning their workforce more into a hybrid, element. So we realize that, it goes beyond just CS, sales, service, and marketing. That people, if they're going to invest their time with you, they want to experience a whole breadth of content related to them as a human being and a decision maker and a career kind of mover and shaker. So I would say very early on, we try to plan really strong content that has a lot of different avenues for exploration very early on. In addition, we make that very easy for people to understand the agenda. So topic tags, utilization of AI for personalization. We try to have as seamless of a registration process as possible for some of our smaller capacity controlled sessions. So a lot of that work is done before you even get on site about what you're going to experience once you get on site. And then once you get on site, we try to make it very simple with the navigation, the line control. We have really great elevated food and beverage that's reflective of the community or the city that we're producing in. We sprinkle in elements of entertainment. We have really great comedians that have joined us year over year. So we really try to make it like not a hard day. I think like if you come in and you're just listening to like business-based content and like content that you need to like learn and translate back to your boss or your team when you return, that is a huge cognitive load. And we recognize that there needs to be breaks in the day and a variety of activities to keep, at the end of the day, the human engaged with the event. So I would say all those elements go into the planning and make Inbound feel very easy to navigate, attainable, and like ends up being a really fun experience the whole week for everyone.
And I felt that firsthand. See, I have done almost 50 of these podcasts now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask that question to you also, but I always ask this question: pick up your top 3 conferences that you have ever attended. And I would say like every other person would have said Inbound, HubSpot. So
that's awesome.
Well done. You clearly produced something that's extremely just powerful from an impact perspective. Kat, just few set of questions for any conference in general, and then of course in your case that example applies to HubSpot Inbound. But let's start with first thing first, the location. How much the city, the location matters in general? This is a generic question, but then for HubSpot Inbound, of course, it has been happening in Boston, and now it's not going to happen in Boston, at least this year. So tell me just a bit of kind of thought process around that.
Yeah, there are 3 big elements that you have to consider when you're picking the city or the location that you're going to host an event of this size. I think number 1 is certainly like, is it a city that meets your business profile, right? Like, do you have a large subset of customers, partners, kind of ecosphere in that area, right? Like, you want to make the event as easy as possible to attend. Yes, a lot of people love traveling into Boston or into San Francisco for Inbound, but we also want to make sure that we have a really strong market regionally in that area. So same goes for our international events. We want to make sure that we're picking countries or cities that, we have a really strong presence from a HubSpot ecosystem point. So I would say number 1, that's the first thing that you need to investigate is like whether or not your audience is in and around that region and whether or not you have a story for why you're in that region. I would say the second thing is you certainly want to pick a city that is cost effective, but is also has an element of tourism or support that they can give you. Hotels obviously is a big one. Like, you need to pick a city that has enough hotel coverage and hotel variety to meet your attendees' needs. I always like to try to pick a city that has an international airport, right? Like, we want to make sure that we are global friendly and that we make it as simple as possible for our international customers to be able to travel in and be with us. And then I would say the third thing that we really think about is like, can the Department of Tourism, what can the convention center, and what can the various, governmental departments in the region help offer us to help us host the best event possible? And that goes into cost, right? Like, what is the cost of the convention center rental? What does it cover? What's the cost of the labor? Because for us, we want to make sure that we are certainly investing in the infrastructure, but not investing so much that we can't provide a really amazing attendee experience. Every dollar that, we take from the attendee experience to, pay for labor or pay for the venue rental is a dollar that we take away from that attendee experience. So we want to make sure that there's a balance there. So I would say those are like 3 big factors that go into it. But I would say number 1, everyone needs to decide before they start investigating a city is like, do they have business in that city? And like, do they have a story for why they're there? For us, it was really simple. Boston is our hometown. We were born and bred in Boston, East Coast tech mentality. We love that. And then San Francisco made a ton of sense too. We have a huge customer base in San Francisco. AI is a big topic for us. Adoption of AI, integration of AI tools within the HubSpot platform. And a lot of those AI companies are obviously based in Silicon Valley. So, and you can kind of see that reflected in the schedule and the agenda this year for San Francisco. We are very kind of I would say startup, VC, AI, tech forward, very kind of an entrepreneurial energy at the San Francisco event. Whereas in Boston, we have a lot of discussions around thought leadership, kind of steeped in the rich history of the education and the research and like kind of what's happening next, especially around like organizational thought leadership in our Boston agenda. So we love both cities. We're returning to Boston next year. We wanted to try something different, throw everyone a curveball, do something in San Francisco, especially because we're double downing on that AI messaging.
Yep.
So San Francisco just felt really strong this year, but we're also really excited to go back to Boston.
Perfect. Kat, so we started with the city and the venue. The next thing then is when to do the event. And I see for some reason I see, HubSpot doing their event around that September, October timeline. Esther doing their major event around, September, October timeline. And then, I don't want to name a lot of other people, but a lot of them pick up this September, October, mostly September as the event month. Is there something that I don't know? What's with this month that guarantees a certain amount of business or attendance that no other month typically do? So
there's definitely a method to picking the date. So September and October just are optimal kind of business event industry months for a number of reasons. One, you never want to produce an event at quarter close. So because there are so many people from your sales, marketing, and CS teams that are attending who are so focused on closing out the quarter or giving, supporting their customers in closing out the quarter. Remember, it's not just about the HubSpot business. Our customers are also, trying to close out their quarter strong. So we never want to produce an event that's too close to the end of a quarter. For us also, HubSpot is a really strong Q4 business. We love that messaging. I think our campaign 2 years ago for brand was all about winning Q4, right? And we know that is such an important quarter for so many of our customers. They really want to go into Q4 extremely strong, not only in closing out their year, but starting to strategize and plan out what their following year is going to be. So we want to make sure that they're receiving all of our content, our expertise, new features to the product before they launch into that quarter. So either, at the beginning of September or sometime around October is such a great time to do that because it's just top of mind for everyone. How can I close out this year strong? And what tools and best practices can I implement for next year to be even better? So that's from a business standpoint, why we picked those months. I would say from a personal standpoint, we like to avoid the summertime. There's a lot of travel going on, kids at home, especially for our international customers. July is really kind of an off month for a lot of countries. So we want to make sure that we're global friendly. And then we'd like to avoid the travel woes of the wintertime, right? Producing an event in Boston in, January or February is always going to have some risk to it in terms of snow, flight cancellations. So after it's all said and done, there's really only 4 great months to produce an industry event, a business industry event. And that would probably be, April, part of May, September, October. So that's the logic behind it.
Finally, I understand. And I think it makes all the sense. So thank you for sharing that with me because, again, I said I'm in the industry for over a decade, but I didn't know exactly that science and math behind it. So, but it does make a lot of sense.
It makes a ton of sense. Yeah, when we say it out loud. I think that there's also some really great events that get planned in early June. I'm not saying totally avoid the month at the end of a quarter. For us, September, right at the end of Q3. But I would never I would never try to pressure my customers to attend an event the last week of the quarter. That's really hard to try to go to your leader or someone and explain to them why you have to miss the last week of quarter. I get it. So we try to avoid those dates.
Just like, I don't know if like, I think in general, of course, it won't, maybe for HubSpot, that's not so common, but I'm just thinking from an attendee perspective.
Yeah.
Purely that, you of course, you learn about a really important conference like Inbound that you want to attend as one, but then you also see some of these other really good events that you want to attend. Do you guys have ever felt that, just because September is the month that we have to run events, everyone is thinking exactly the same way?
Yeah.
That also mean that, these competing events sometimes will, just divide the attendees, because not one person won't want to travel for both of those conferences just 1 week apart, right? So from that perspective, it's
an interesting question. I will say I kind of come from, and what I've seen also just in kind of our ticket sale trajectory and history, is I kind of have an all ships rise mentality, whereas like more events, or I would say more high quality events, actually don't hurt us. It helps us because I think that when people attend one really great business event where they learned something really meaningful or a value that they were able to apply to their career or to their business, it perks them up to want to attend more, right? So I actually kind of cheer for more higher quality events, because I think it actually helps the entire event industry, everyone get a lot better, and to see attendance rise. Once, like, when especially coming out of COVID, I think that there was a lack of confidence around events. People hadn't engaged with them in a few years. They were expensive. People were a little unsure of like, well, hold on, I've been getting this content and building these relationships online for 3 years. Like, why are you asking me to return in person now? And I think that in general, there was some hesitancy around that. In 2022, I think that there also wasn't a lot of people who were really double downing again on in-person events. So, I think that we were still seeing a lack of confidence just in the event industry at large, and a hesitancy to attending. And then in 2023 and 2024, people started kind of coming back into the picture, new events, old events, bigger, better. And we've seen a big rise in overall event attendance. And I think people really see how valuable they are when they attend one really great event. And they're like, oh, wow, that $1,500 I spent earlier this year attending that event provided so much value to me. I'm going to go talk to my boss or my manager and try to get more funding so I can attend more events this year. So I actually think it like helps. It's funny. We when we started doing inbound in like that September, October timeframe, Dreamforce also does it in September, October. There was a lot of other, kind of events in that periphery. We were a little bit worried, like, how does this affect inbound? And I don't think it does. Like there's millions, billions of people in the world. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of them want the same thing, which is this strong desire to be with other people, to learn, face to face, to network, to, be surprised and delighted and to spend their week around really amazing people. So there is more than enough people to go around. I think what you're really fighting for is budget. But I think if you can really demonstrate that value, the sky's the limit on the number of events that you should attend, right? So I actually, that all ships rise mentality, like I'm cheering for everyone. I don't think it hurts inbound or our events. I think it actually helps.
Perfect. Yeah. So we discussed a city/venue. We discussed the month. Let's come to the conference itself. Just a few, like one by one, the question. The first one is celebrity speakers. I was so happy attending some of those, celebrity speakers sessions during the HubSpot inbound. And again, this question is not for HubSpot inbound, but just in general, but you can apply that sometimes within the event professionals network. You get to see, or you get to hear at least this other opinion that celebrity speakers don't matter anymore. It's really about the networking or really what the value that you get out of it. What's your take on celebrity speakers? Do they attract a certain amount of audience? It doesn't have anything to do with ticket sales? Just your logic behind that.
I think it depends on your goals for the event. So, do I think you need a celebrity speaker for an end user conference? No. Do I think that you need higher profile speakers for like an industry forward event where you're trying to kind of expand your net of awareness for not only your event, but your brand? It helps a lot. And I don't want people to feel like that they can't enter into the experiential event marketing world if they don't have the budget for a celebrity speaker. There's a lot of like prolific speakers out there that I wouldn't put in like the traditional celebrity slot that like command and demand a lot of attention. So, I think it depends on what the end goal is for your audience. For us, for inbound, that kind of element of celebrity still has a lot of meaningful engagement and works for us. It's interesting. Someone I think posted on LinkedIn a few weeks ago saying like, no one wants celebrity speakers anymore. No one cares. Like, the attendees don't care about it when they're on site. And I was like, agreed. Like maybe once they get on site at inbound, like seeing a celebrity like an Amy Poehler, like a, former President Barack Obama falls a little bit lower on their list after they've built their agenda and they're like, wow, I want to go to this session on AI marketing. I want to go to this session on marketing and sales integration and how to better communicate. So those sessions rise up. But a lot of times the reason why especially new attendees bought a ticket to the event or at least went to the website is because of those names, right? Like that's really intriguing to say, wow, I'm going to go to inbound this year and I'm going to get the opportunity to see President Barack Obama speak, right? Like that's incredible. A former president, very prolific person, once in a lifetime opportunity. But like all of the other content is really what's going to motivate me to buy a ticket. Like I came to inbound.com because of him, but ultimately I'm going to convert and attend because of all the well-roundedness and all the other content of the event. So I think that like, if that is your goal, is to drive, some net new awareness, to drive net new attendees, to really kind of expand your net and open up your funnel wider. I think of those like celebrity or like more, I'd say prolific speakers still carry a lot of weight. But then I go back to earlier what I said, a user, if your end goal is to get as many of your customers at an event to like really be embedded and ingrained in your product and kind of learn the like end user roadmap of like what you're planning, how, what you just rolled out, how you can really use the product to help influence and grow your business. I don't think it's as necessary, right? They want to hear from people who are like living and breathing the product. They want to hear about use cases and case studies and like I used X and got Y, right? And then I don't think it holds as much weight. So I think it really just depends on what your event goals are.
Absolutely brilliant. And I'm just thinking, I'll tell you just because a lot of what you said, like I'm just thinking like, what I'll walk you through my experience, right? So of course we were there because we wanted to attend HubSpot Inbound, and I would like to tell myself I'm not a celebrity guy. I'm there mainly for the content. Actually, that's what I want to tell myself. But once I was there was a session happening at 5 p.m. by one of the celebrities. I'm like, I'm already here. Let me go ahead and attend it, right? Why not?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I have to say, I attended all of them. Like there were 3 celebrities in the last one. I attended all 3 sessions just because, you're there anyways. And that's the time also when you're not running those parallel sessions. It's not that by attending that I'm missing out on a really, really great
other stuff.
I did attend it, and it felt good, that you attended one of those sessions, and you can later on think about it whether that was valuable or not. But more often than not, they were also very valuable from a learning/business perspective, because these people, have this amazing experience that no one else have within what they have done, right? So you get to hear that very, very, very unique perspective that's impossible to get otherwise, unless coming
Yeah.
from such a celebrity. So
Yeah. And we always try not to book celebrities for the sake of celebrity, right? Like we try to book, we call it like, celebutainment or edutainment, where it actually has a relevant business case that can ladder up to the work that our customers and attendees are doing. So, we've had Ryan Reynolds, we've had Reese Witherspoon, both of them running behind the scenes very successful brands. Hello Sunshine, with the Wexham soccer team, Mountain, his past creative SaaS company. So like they were all running businesses and working with VCs, working with collecting capital, working with the selling of those companies, working with the marketing of those brands. Like they in themselves are really like master marketers and business men and women. So it's like we always try to make sure that everyone we book has a story that they can tell on stage that is relevant for the people in our audience, not just like, hey, I'm going to get up here and talk to you about, the movie I just released or the book I just wrote and like promote that. Like, no, tell us about the business of getting the book written. Tell us about the business of the production company and the marketing of the movie that made it incredibly successful. So we always try to make sure that there is that kind of through line story to tell.
Katherine, just one last question around that one. Is there a process to get celebrities on board? Because there are only very few companies who, of course, can think about going through this process. And I, again, as I said, all the 3 sessions I attended, they added tons of value one way or the other, whether it was entertainment or actual sessions. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm putting myself in your shoe, and that's what I want to learn from that. I'm trying to get a celebrity, but then also I'm going to be a bit picky about who can come in and not. Is there an interview process by which they get selected? Because I'm just finding it like, I know, I would not want to, hurt a celebrity feeling that, you didn't get selected. So just, if you can guide me through that purely from my own learning. This is podcast listeners. I don't know. This is me who really want to find out. I'm not sure how much it's relevant for others, but.
Yeah. Well, a couple things. We have an internal programming team that like does a ton of research, throughout kind of after inbound concludes, kind of looking at the next year, like who are kind of the movers and shakers right now in that world, like who's doing, something really cool, is about to announce something, has a big initiative being launched, has a lot of buzz around them. So we'll do a lot of research there. There are a lot of really amazing, for someone who's trying to just like get started working with not only celebrities, but I would also say just creators in general. There's also like big podcasters. There's really prolific, interesting YouTube creators. There's, obviously Instagram and TikTok and, even LinkedIn influencers now that command big audiences. Yeah. So I would say like the first part is just like really doing your research and understanding the like type of profiles that you want to go after, and really having a strong POV and vision. I would say the second part is like there are a lot of really really smart and well-connected talent bookers that like focus on speaking engagement, right? And you don't have to pay them money up front, right? Like they want to partner with you to make sure that their speakers are being looked at and considered for for your event. So I would say do your research also about like the different types of companies out there that can help leverage those like celebrity outreach. All of them work with agents. There's a very few of them that like are self-agent or self-managed. Like even in the like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn influencer world, they all now have agents. So a lot of them, it's like, you're not cheating by like also working with an agent. Like that's literally how the industry is built. Like agents speak to agents, managers speak to managers. So I'd say, first just establish your POV, do your research. see what companies are representing these speakers, and then do some outreach to those agents and say, hey, I'm interested. And a lot of times they'll also have good ideas. They may say, oh, that person's not available. They're not doing speaking engagements right now, but have you considered these 5 people? And they also have insight into things that you may not through your research of, hey, they have a new book coming out next October. That's, about this business topic that would be really interesting to interview. I would say the third thing is not everyone needs to be booked through an agent when it comes to business. So, I think everyone knows this, but typically you are, if you're a business leader, you're, in a C-suite, you work for a publicly traded company, like most of the private companies, a lot of their leadership speaks at events or earmarks time every single year to be able to speak at events because they know that it's good for their company, the brand, their personal brand. They may have a big initiative that they're trying to go vocalize and get out there, and it's part of their marketing plans for the year. So don't be hesitant to reach out to, even people who are in C-suites to ask them, hey, would you be interested in speaking at our event, and really position it, its overall value and what they're going to get from it. And a lot of times those speakers will travel there on their own to speak because, it is part of their marketing output for the year. They want to be in front of those audiences. So have a little bit of swagger around your event and say like, hey, this is a great event. Like it's for X amount of people. It's your core audience. Like, here are past speakers that we've had. We know that this is going to be a good thing for you because, our audience says that they use your tool 80% of the time. Really develop like your elevator pitch and those materials to really draw in speakers who want to be there from a marketing standpoint as well. Yeah.
That's extremely helpful. Katherine, so the next one is a question, but also kind of a note/request from our side. See, attending a celebrity session was easy, primarily because that was the only session happening at that time, right? But then sometimes there are so many great sessions happening exactly at the same time. Sometimes, in most cases, they were at different times. So as you're going through the agenda, you can literally pick what I'm going to do at 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. But there was a certain point where we felt like these 3 absolutely amazing sessions,
right,
exactly the same time. I think the question is, as you're trying to curate the agenda, do you go through and internally mark themselves? Let's call it like a 1, 2, and 3. 1 being the absolutely amazing session, 2 being really great session, and 3 being still a great session, but not. And do you try to keep 1, 2, and 3 in the same one, because that just makes it easy for a person to always attend one? Do you have how do you go about programming that part? Because at a certain point, we felt why some of these sessions are just at the same time. It does not.
Right.
Yeah.
Wish it was that easy. I like a ranking system, and you say, okay, like here's like the best session, the middle tier session, the worst session. We're going to put them all against each other. That can't be the case. If I had every, because what would ultimately happen is everyone would try to attend the best session. I wouldn't have seats for it. Then they try to attend the second session. I wouldn't have seats for them. And then the third session, and then they'd be angry because they didn't want the third session. So it's like, there's a number of factors that kind of go into the programming. One is the format of the session. So some sessions require a longer amount of time, 90 minutes sometimes, because they may have an interactive component or Q&A added onto it. So we have to kind of, take that into account. Some sessions are fireside chats. Some sessions are presentational keynotes. Some are case studies. Some are educational sessions. So it really depends on the format. And then it depends on the day that the speaker can also speak, right? Like a lot of times, what I said before, a lot of times these are C-suite executives that are spending their own time and money to come to Inbound or one of our events to speak. And so, as good partners, we need to also schedule them on the day that they can speak. Some of them may only come for one day because that's the only time they can do it. So we have to be respectful of their schedule as well and make sure that we're slotting them into a time that works. And then I would say the last piece is kind of looking at the overall calendar and starting to move stuff around. We don't have any idea whether or not a session is going to be like well liked or not. Like we try to do a really good diligence around the curation during the speaker application process or the speaker outreach process. We get their preliminary materials, we evaluate it, we see, hey, this looks like this is a marketing-based session. How many marketing-based sessions do we have, still available? We want to make sure that we're providing a variety too, but we don't have we have a feeling based off of those preliminary materials how well the session's going to be accepted. But I got to be honest, we get so many applications, we're picking all winners. So all the sessions are great. But we do have an idea just off past history of certain speakers that are just going to command a larger audience because they have a larger following, or they, it's just a highly rated session that happens year over year. We've got a handful of speakers like that. Jay Schwindelson is one. Kyle Jepson from HubSpot, really great academy professor that does really great HubSpot-based content at Inbound. Nancy Harhut, really great marketers. We know that they are going to need to be in bigger rooms there. And that's the other thing. You have a variety of different capacity rooms, right? You've got some rooms that are ballrooms that you need to fit a session that can draw in 2,500 people. You've got your main stage. Yeah. We need to at least have it half full at 4,000 people. Then you've got your smaller, more intimate education sessions that might be really long, like 90 minutes. But that's in a smaller room and can only command about 90 people just because of the format. The interactive format wouldn't be good for more than 150. So there's a lot that you're kind of weighing in the schedule. And you try to kind of abide by those layers of best practices the best that you can and not have too many similar topics competing against each other. But ultimately, sometimes it happens just because there's a number of factors at play.
Thank you so much. That's extremely helpful. So you're at the conference. And again, I'll tell you again, what I hear from a lot of event professionals, and then your take on it in general, and then, specifically for HubSpot. But a lot of what event professionals say nowadays is that attendees used to attend events for the content, for learning. Yeah. Now attendees their first priority is to network during the event. Your take on it in general, if you have to prioritize one over the other in general, for an event that you yourself is attending, are you going more for the content or networking, and why? Yeah. And then for HubSpot, what's the primary focus? I'm the content person, I know maybe I network during just regular days a lot. That when I go and attend an event, I'm there to learn. Yeah. And but I'm a very different person altogether. Go ahead and your take on it.
If you had asked me 3 years ago, for sure I would have said content. I think that we're seeing a big shift to also to more of our attendees wanting networking, and the reason or coming to events because they're focused on networking. And the reason why is because I think there are so many people who, especially in our kind of in the tech business world, that are either still work from home, remote full-time, or at least hybrid. And I think that they see these events as an opportunity to kind of get out of their work, environment and go meet people. It kind of brings kind of the energy of being in an office back for a week, and having kind of the excitement of meeting new people, maybe bringing their teams to the event, being able to hang out with their teams there. So we are definitely seeing, I would say more demand for guided networking, and opportunities for people to meet other people, either in their I would say community of practice, or community of identity. And again, I think that goes back to, a lot of people work from home. I think that, a lot of people work online. And there is just a growing sense of wanting human connection and wanting to find their people or their communities or expand their communities. And events are unique in that it is a guided opportunity where, kind of everyone birds of a feather comes in. Everyone is there kind of for the same purpose, which is they want to grow their career or grow their business or be the best that they can at something. And a lot of them are very high performers, high motivators. And it's a built-in community, and they want to meet those people and get to know them. And it may not even be for the purposes of like cutting a deal or hiring, new clients or a new vendor. It could just be because they want more personal relationships within their workspace or their work world. So I think we're seeing, a big influx of that and a strong desire of that for sure. I still think content is king. I think that's why people ultimately decide to purchase a ticket or register or spend the money to go to an event. However, I think networking is something that we're seeing a lot of desire for on site, and that I would say building that sense of community is really important.
And I think I really love what you said, which is people are not going to say that, I'm spending $1,500 to go and network.
Right.
They need something else to convince them to buy the ticket. Now, when they are there, of course, networking become, maybe the most important, or at least important enough to kind of do that. But I agree, it's the content that drives definitely the registration to begin with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. If you don't have quality content, they're not, or if the content really is the purpose, right? If there isn't a purpose for the event, it's just not going to drive people to attend. I think the networking and the community building and the relationship building, you also have to provide that, but that is on site. And so I think you really have to have a strong balance of both.
So we picked the venue, we picked the city, we again discussed the celebrity speakers, the math behind the agenda programming, networking over content. As I'm walking around, or let's say, you're walking around in any of those events, you see these amazing exhibitors, and then you walk in there, you see all types of swags. And I have been an exhibitor in many of the events, and you, of course, run one of the biggest events out there. What's your take on swags, and what's your suggestion to exhibitors who already are spending this amount of money on the booth itself, and they don't have to worry about the swags? Should they do it? Should they not do it? If they do it, what's like the math or the science behind actually getting a swag that actually has any ROI attached with it?
I am not a proponent of like swag for swag's sake, right? Like I think it's like, if you've got to like give away a sticker to entice someone to like take a demo, or give away, some sort of swag item that quite frankly is going to get lost in someone's book bag, for them to look at your product, then like you're not actually explaining real value to them, right? I think that it is better to spend money on your activation and making sure that your messaging around your product or your company is like clear and shows value to those attendees. And that is well constructed. And if that is well constructed, then people will want to talk to you. If you are fitting a need that audience has, like they will naturally come talk to you. You don't need to give them a koozie for that. Like trust me, they're looking for you and you're looking for them. Like that will come naturally and organically if your message is clear and sound and you're actually showing the value of your product or your company for the attendee and the audience fit there. However, like people love swag, they just do. And for me, I would much rather invest in swag pieces for surprise and delight moments that actually kind of like relate back to your business, right? Is there like, I love it when people think of really smart ways to have their business remembered through a piece of swag, right? So I've seen custom card decks done. I've seen, people who, may have do custom candy, things like that. Like I've seen a lot of really smart swag pieces that like directly correlates back to their business. Us at HubSpot, like we are taking the approach of like really being more cognizant of like not our swag spend, not only from like a monetary fiduciary standpoint, but also from an environmental standpoint. Like it's just, there's a lot of waste out there. And we want to make sure that like we're not over contributing or contributing to that. Also, like we want to make sure that we're giving quality products, like not only from the HubSpot standpoint, but even from the swag standpoint, we want quality to come from HubSpot. So that might mean that like we're spending more on certain swag items and producing less, but we're being more particular about how we're giving those items away, right? They may just be going to our strategic or loyal customers. It may be a surprise and delight moment for being a HubSpot subscriber for 3 years in a row, kind of bigger key touch points. And then it feels more special. You're giving them something they actually want. Like maybe it's a really beautiful book bag that has their company logo embroidered in it, right? With like a really special, like, thank you from HubSpot, card on the inside. I think it's thinking about higher quality items that mean something to a customer or fills a gap or a need that they have, and that they're used for real surprise and delight moments, not just kind of thrown around. And I think you'll see a stronger, response from your customers, and you'll certainly feel better about the budget. And I think you'll also feel better about the overall contribution to the environment and your carbon footprint by kind of pulling back and thinking about that. However, like some swag items at conferences, people always need pens, and they always love a good notebook. So I think those things, if you want to do that, like that fills a need on site that people always have. But I would really encourage everyone to kind of rethink their swag kind of giveaway. I just think there's so much of it. I don't know how effective it is anymore. So really think about kind of your product messaging, your company messaging, making sure that's clear first. And then it's saving those swag moments or those surprise and delight moments for really special opportunities.
Love it.
Yeah.
Another thing that, again, we power almost 3,000 plus events in a year.
Yeah.
And one trend that I have been noticing is that most of the ticket sales happen in the last month or quarter.
Okay.
As compared to happening at early. And again, we have been in this business for the last 10 years, and that's more of a post-COVID thing versus a pre-COVID thing.
1,000%. Yeah.
Do you feel that? And just, I think, we all get it maybe now, because you also mentioned how in one of your earlier answers that some people are working remote, if there are people who are working remote, etc. Like a lot of people don't know up until the last 1.5, 2 months what they'll be doing, they'll be going or not. But just, are you noticing that? And if yes, are there any magic tips and tricks that I'm not aware of how to drive it early, that ticket sales? Yeah.
We are definitely seeing more late purchasing patterns than we have previously. I would say definitely pre-COVID. It's interesting. We're seeing different patterns from 2022 to 2025. I would say we saw a lot of late purchases in 2022 with people kind of not having that confidence of in-person events. Is it going to get canceled? Is it safe? Like, what does this even feel like anymore? I think that in general, they were waiting until the last minute to purchase. I definitely saw a pullback in 23, 24 where people were buying earlier. I would say in 25, I'm definitely seeing late registration ticket sale patterns again. And I think that, macro factors have a lot to do with that too, right? Like in a curious, eyes wide open state about world economics, domestic economics, tariffs, kind of where things are going. And I hate to say it, but a lot of times the first thing that gets pulled back in spending when companies are preparing to try to cut cost or try to balance a budget in anticipation of, a possible, economic downturn or any type of change, they end up kind of pulling back on event travel and budgets, right? So I will say, 2025, we've seen kind of a teeter-tottering and started seeing later buying patterns as well, just because I think there's just been a lot of things happening across the globe in the past several months. I'm not revealing anything new. Everyone's feeling it and seeing it and kind of saying what's going to happen in Q3, Q4, 2026 and 2027. So I think that whenever there's a lack of overall confidence, whether it is in COVID and, how people are being kept safe at events, or how people are kind of emerging from the COVID haze to go to events, or whether it is, macroeconomic pressures or world political pressures on people's businesses. There is a pullback in a later buying pattern. So we are definitely, we definitely see that across events. I always joke around that events are kind of the canary in the coal mine. We always see things first. And that has been happening for all 20 years of my career. Before, we saw in 2008, the economic downturn, we were already starting to feel that in some of the entertainment world, live concerts, live festivals, that people were not spending as much money to go to those because they were getting nervous. They were holding on to their funding, their cash, things like that. So we definitely feel I would say the ebbs and flows of business across events. I feel like events are always kind of the first to feel it. On a positive side, I think 2005, we are seeing later buying patterns, but we're still seeing rapid purchasing of events. It's just happening later, right? Yep. People aren't, and that could also be, I gotta be honest, that could also be related to more events in the market, more options, more things to do, and people are just taking those considerations later. So I think it's a multitude of factors, but we're definitely seeing that in 2025. But we're still seeing sold out events. They're just happening much later.
Two questions. Your top 3 events that you personally like to attend, and then 2, again, we all see how HubSpot is leaning all towards AI. Again, we're a big fan of Dharmesh, and, we're a big fan of HubSpot itself, and we see AI everywhere. But just purely from your own job role perspective, how are you making use of AI right now to make your job and your department role better? Not as a HubSpot, as a company, but just you as an individual.
Yeah. So I will say event technology is notoriously kind of behind the curve when it comes to adoption of any kind of new technology. I will say us at HubSpot, or me on the global events team and my team, we're using AI very heavily because we're just not seeing it really adopted by a lot of our vendors. I'll be frank. And the reason why is it's part of event technology. It's always been this way. It's kind of a trickle down effect. Digital marketers are always kind of the first to adopt these widespread tech innovations. And then I fully expect that event tech companies or event tech focused companies will make a shift in the next year. They're just not quite there yet. So we are building a lot of our own proprietary kind of AI tools, or utilizing AI on our own across our event team, because we just need to keep up with the pace of innovation. It's not oh, this is a nice to have. It is a must have. We are at we're at an inflection that either you disrupt or get disrupted. And so for us, places that we're really putting a lot of emphasis on utilizing AI and building out our own AI systems is internal enablement, really providing kind of, I would say, dynamic marketing materials or conversation touch points that our CS and sales teams can use to drive registrations to our event or to help our customers navigate the event, whether it's the registration process, the agenda process, what sessions they should attend, what they can and can't bring to the event. So we're building a lot of AI tools for our CS sales team to use, because it's not their primary job to know every single thing about inbound. We want to make a dynamic kind of evergreen, always on bot that they can use to get that information in real time if they're on the phone with a customer or writing an email to a customer. Obviously, in marketing, we use AI technology all the time. A lot of our video content that we create, especially like quick kind of hits about inbound's almost sold out or VIP tickets on sale now, we'll create those through AI so that we are investing our budget and kind of our larger creative bandwidth on, I would say, more higher fidelity video or more creative video, long form video that we want to do. So we're finding a lot of places to use AI to help us do, quicker hits in video, social media posts, writing, email marketing. Obviously, we run inbound on HubSpot. We build HubSpot on HubSpot. So we're using all of the Breeze AI tools and all of the AI functionality and integrations that HubSpot offers within our portal. So, ChatGPT and HubSpot just announced a connector a few weeks ago. We've already started using that to better personalize our email marketing campaigns, to learn more about our audience through our own portal. So I would say that's what we're using it for, like externally. Internally, we use it all the time. We use it to help construct memos, to help construct marketing briefs, to, better organize ourselves from a workflow standpoint, to look for insights that like maybe we're not seeing, based off of us reading NPS surveys, employee surveys, things like that. So, we're using AI to really like up-level and amplify the amount of information that we're like processing and also disseminating across, our organization and cross-functionally. So, I would say that like we're probably using AI more, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, HubGPT, Breeze tools. I would say those 4 tabs are open on my computer more than like Google is. So it's just, that is what we're really kind of moving towards. And it's our primary source of research. We do a ton of research through AI because those language models can just pull in way more in-depth research and things that like we would not be able to find through a regular search. Yep. Or we would, but it would take us weeks. So, we're, as an event team, we're so excited about using AI, and we're always finding different ways to use it. We actually do a weekly Global Events AI case study where someone from our team showcases a business use case and a personal use case for how they used AI that week. And we're just excited about the tool and getting in there and trying and failing and trying and succeeding and getting better with it. But the sky's the limit. And I think I'm really eager for a lot of these event tech companies to really start putting it on their roadmap how they're going to utilize AI to better personalize our attendees or our customers' experiences. I think that there's so much we can do in the registration process and the agenda curation process and the on-site check-in process to make it faster, stronger, and more personalized to our customer. So I'm eager for a lot of them to adopt those AI tools. I think they will. I think they're all excited too. They're just trying to understand what they can and can't do. But yeah, we use it every day.
Your favorite events that you personally like to attend?
So I have like a lot of different events that I have loved attending. So I had the privilege of not only attending, but working on WWDC for a few years. And I just think it's Apple. They do a phenomenal job with the overall branding, the kind of like fidelity of the event, the consistency of it. I think a lot of kind of those surprise and delight moments that we have at Inbound were inspired by WWDC. I think they do a really great job of like showcasing the event for a human, not just the developer part of the human, and making sure that they are just having a really amazing time front to back. And obviously, like Tim Cook's product, a showcase is always something that you would want to emulate. So I think that they do a fantastic job. My team personally loves South by Southwest. Like, we love it for networking, taking meeting, like brands do such a great job showing up there, kind of building out experiences that really showcase their product, their vision, what's on the horizon for them for the upcoming year. It's very easy to take meetings there, to network. So love that from a networking standpoint. I still love going to concerts. I think live music is still such an inspiration. I went to 2 of the Taylor Swift tour shows, had a great time with my daughter. It was like it was across generations. I think her, from a production standpoint, did a phenomenal job. I think all the venues did an incredible job with the logistics of moving 100,000 people into a venue safely, and like them having a great time. And, it's those moments that, you talk about with your child saying, remember when, we went to this? So I think that, they do a great job. I also think like this isn't an event per se, but it's experience. We are big Disney fans over on the Global Events team. We're always looking at Disney World, Disneyland, like what's Disney doing? We had Josh D'Amaro speak at Inbound last year, which was like such a highlight, I think, for all of us on the events team, because the approach that Disney has towards building experiences and experiential marketing is the best in the business. And we just found it so interesting, kind of the best practices and the filters that they put everything through to make sure that at the end of the day that they are building the best experience possible for their customer. So for us, we always look for inspiration from that too. So I would say that those are the events. And I'll throw one more out there. I always appreciate Google I/O's keynote. It's always, I always love like kind of hunkering down and watching it online. Sometimes it gets really wild, but like, that's what you do. That's how you get it. Like, they are not scared to try new things. So I will say they don't take themselves too seriously. I think their keynote is a perfect balance of like fun, lightheartedness, kind of showing the like culture of the company, with, being more serious about the product features, AI tools, kind of data, legal, security, integrity. But I love seeing what they do for their Google I/O keynote. They always do a great job with that.
Especially the last one was absolutely amazing. The one that they did for the AI. Katherine, thank you so much. I personally learned a lot, and I am super excited for this particular, just episode to go live. I believe that everyone will learn a lot. If someone wanna just, follow you, learn from your experience, etc., is LinkedIn the best place for them to go and connect with?
LinkedIn is the best for me. So definitely find me on LinkedIn. Either I'm under Kat Tooley or Katherine Tooley, my longer first name. So definitely hit me up there. VP of marketing at HubSpot. Would love to chat there.
Thank you so much, Katherine, for being here today. Thank you everyone for listening in. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.